So we are back in. Sorry about that, everybody. Technical issues. I just wait for people to come back in. Hello to you all. My apologies. I will absolutely wait until people come back in. That would have been crazy. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Marie. I'm just going to wait for a few people to come in. I'm laughing at myself and I apologise because I'm saying, oh, it will start on the dot at 7 o'clock. It was only because I didn't want to interrupt Soul Sisters live at 8 o'clock. So I wanted to make this an hour and to be on time. So we'll get straight into it. Welcome to you all. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for your courage as well. This path takes courage for sure, and we actually have so much of it. So what we're going to do tonight is a 3-part live. I would say put your volume up because my voice is probably slightly higher now than it will be later on. But put your volume up to full volume, and please just, take what resonates. If it doesn't resonate to your path, please just discard it. We're going to do 3 sections. We're going to look at lack of self-worth, what it actually is. And then I'm going to take you into a beautiful, guided meditation, where you will be able to see your truth, see the reality of the truth that I share. And then finally we will do an activation which has shocked the pants off me, I can tell you, because I didn't expect that to be. But I'll explain more about that later. So I'm just going to clear my throat because there's something going on here. So we'll get cracking and say welcome to you all. And it may be that you have suffered a lifetime of lack of self-worth, or it may be that you know people in your life, your reality, that really struggle with self-worth. So I hope, whether awakened or asleep, that some of this at least helps somebody. So why is it that some of us, and there are many at this time, suffer from a lack of self-worth? It's come up in a huge way in the awakened communities this year, in this now timeline, for good reason. And that is to clear it, because it's huge. It affects so many people on the planet. Whether they're asleep or awake is irrelevant. It affects them. So why is it that you suffered from a lack of self-worth? And the answer is simple. We chose to. We chose to experience what it is like to feel unworthy, to feel less than. And this was a choice that those that experience it, they made that choice before they were born. It was a soul choice. So I'm going to take you through it up to this present day. Before you were born, your soul, my soul, agreed to come in, descend down through the energy frequencies into a field that works on polarity. So black and white, good and bad. self-worth and lack of self-worth, night and day, yin and yang, masculine and feminine. It goes on and on. But our souls chose to descend our frequency into a polarized field. It's a light field of polarity. And some of us chose to experience greatly what we term a lack of self-worth. Now, before we incarnated, we also knew that in this lifetime we would transcend that. So we would come in, we would absolutely experience it, and then we would dissolve it. We knew that. And it's why it's coming up now for so many awakened people across the planet. It's time to dissolve it because it's a huge one. And it has to be dissolved for the next stage. It has to go. So we agreed to that, knowing that our memory would come back. We would remember in our physical human vessel. We were born. And so how does a baby then go about experiencing a lifetime of lack of self-worth? The baby has to be born into circumstances that are designed for their reality, for their dream, that will perfectly set up the scene in their lifetime to experience a lack of self-worth. That baby doesn't understand worth or lack of worth, less than or more than. We weren't born with a lack of self-worth. We were brought into a set of circumstances as a baby. We grew as a tiny child, surrounded by circumstances we didn't understand as a child. And as our brain started to adapt to this reality with these influences all around us, at some point during our childhood, we decided as children, in forgetfulness, that we must be unworthy. So to give an example, if we were born into a family and we just wanted love, which is ultimately what every single human being on the planet wants. But if we're born into a family where that love isn't demonstrated and given to us, as a child that doesn't understand those adults, we think that we don't receive love because we're not worthy of it. We're not good enough to receive the love because we know as innocent children that it's easy to give love. So easy. Because we don't have those patterns, those distortions as a child. So if we don't receive the love as a child that we're wanting from our family or our parents, we can misperceive at a very, very early age that we're not receiving love because we're just not worthy of it. We don't deserve it. And then that goes into the school system, where society teaches you in order to get a job, in order to be successful, in order to make money, you must be good at these certain subjects, these specific subjects you must be good at. And so the school system itself is based on levels of failure and levels of success. These polarities. And so if we don't get our grades, we think we're less than. We're not good enough. Or it can even be on the school playing field where you're playing a game, some sort of sport, and you know when people get picked by their teammates, who will be on my team, and there's always this one person who never gets picked. How must they feel? They just feel they're unworthy, that they're not wanted, that they're less than. I remember a girl in my school that never got picked. We go into teenage years, adult years, and by that point we've already established a pattern in our brain that says there is worthiness and a lack of self-worth. It's established as a child when we don't know and we don't understand. And that's the key. That's why we were born into the situations we've had. That's why we can feel unworthy about money. If you're born into a family that never had money, you feel unworthy of having money. And so you learn that you must have 3 jobs in order to make money, in order to live and eat and feed your family. We're born into these constructs and we start to believe them. And when we believe them as children, they imprint in our brain. There is a processor. And then we're set up. At that point, we're set up as a child to then have the full-blown experience of unworthiness. That's what we agreed to have. So it was all completely, perfectly set up to give us the experience we chose to have pre-incarnation. And because that pattern is then in our minds, we then experience this or we experience that. And because the imprint is already here, all that does is imprint even more. Yes, I'm unworthy. I'm not deserving. I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve that person's love. I don't deserve to be liked. I don't deserve money. Whatever it is that you experience your particular unworthiness about, it will go right back to your childhood. Why? Because you chose to experience that this lifetime and dissolve it. And you're not just dissolving it for you. You're dissolving it for the family around you, and you're dissolving it this lifetime for the lineages that go right the way back to the root race. It's you that's going to break it. You're the one that breaks the pattern. And we each have our patterns. I have mine. You all have yours. And we're here to break them. And it's from breaking those patterns, every single one of those patterns that we each hold, that we see when we awaken and we work at them. And there's many, many patterns in our minds. It's then, when we've dissolved all of those patterns, that we become changed. And you, and you, and you, and you become changed. And so we establish a humanity that evolves. So this is why it's coming up. Because if you suffer from a lack of self-worth, and you are ascending, and you are reaching the final stages of ascension in this physical vessel, in this body, retaining the body, how are you going to know God within you if you are less than? If you feel and think you are less than? God is all things. So to keep thinking you're less than is to simply still be in the polarity. And so all of these patterns that are within us, everybody has different patterns. It's us that's dissolving them to be the example of how we can be. And so it ricochets out and it catches. It can't help but catch. So we're being the change one by one by one by one. But there's many. There's millions. And how we dissolve the pattern of lack of self-worth, how we dissolve it, is by taking responsibility for it ourselves. Each one of us. By going within. By actually admitting to ourselves that we suffer from this idea of a lack of self-worth. We have to take responsibility for each of our patterns. Otherwise, they don't dissolve. So if I were to blame somebody or some sort of situation or event or circumstance, if I were to blame the outside of me for me feeling that way, all I'd be doing is being immersed in the dream, in the peridium, in the hologram, that my higher consciousness is actually creating for me. So how lack of self-worth works is that program, that misperception at childhood gets embedded in our brains and we start to believe it. We start to think it's real. Yes, I'm unworthy. I'm not deserving. Yes, I'm last in the queue. Yes. And we start to believe it. And as soon as it becomes a knowing within us, from that child growing up into adulthood, as soon as it becomes an internal belief system, that's what we attract into our dream. So if any of you saw the live the other day about how consciousness works, if you haven't, please look at it because it will explain a lot that I'm not going to explain right now. But how it works, how our consciousness works, is we each have our own consciousness. It's like the director of our reality. So if I were to believe, or you were to believe, that you have no self-worth, that is an energy that I feel and you feel within yourself. It's an energy frequency. And instantly, our higher self, our higher consciousness, reads that energy and says, yes, okay, you are less than. Yes, okay, you are unworthy. And brings into our reality, into our dream, more situations, people and events for us to feel unworthy about. It's a yes universe. So what you think you are is what you're going to experience. What we have to do when we're awake is override these false programs, these false beliefs that got established along the way in this lifetime. Now your higher consciousness is presenting again and again and again situations for you to choose. Am I worthy or am I not worthy? And because of the embedded pattern within our minds, generally speaking, we will choose, well, I'm not worthy. Look what's happened. Look at the way this has happened to me. Look at my life. I'm unworthy. Look at how I've just been spoken to. Even they think I'm unworthy. So we imprint and imprint and imprint. What happens? We get more of it because we're believing it. And so what we have to do is choose worthiness to start with. Now, at this stage of the mass collective timeline, it's coming up for a mass of people, this unworthiness, feeling less than. And what will happen, because it has to be dissolved this year, what will happen is the higher consciousness will bring to you a circumstance, a situation, an event that is so, so massive that you feel complete and utter unworthiness within you. So it's going to bring up this massive, massive unworthiness, which is what's happening now. But it brings it up to such an intensity that you go away, do the work within, and then you experience within yourself the polar opposite. The polar opposite of unworthiness is worthiness. So through a very extreme event where you suffer complete and utter unworthiness, you can go away and say, yes, I am worthy. I am absolutely worthy. So you yourself, your energy experiences the exact opposite. Unworthiness, worthiness. But the worthiness doesn't last too long. The point is, you've transcended this program of unworthiness by realizing and claiming initially, claiming it, that you are worthy, that you are deserving, that you do deserve more, that you do deserve this or that, whatever it is. The extreme situation is going to bring out your polar opposite, which is that yes, you are worthy. And you stand in that within yourself, knowing full well you are absolutely worthy. But it takes, for us humans, an extreme situation for that to occur. And it will occur for anybody who has still not transmuted the unworthiness. I only transmuted it weeks ago, okay? But it's up now for so many. But the worthiness that you feel as you transmute it, as you let go of the program, as you see that it was never ever true, as you claim your worthiness, that worthiness doesn't last too long, because as soon as you've done that, you shoot up. Your frequency goes up. You shift. And what happens is you shift into the final part of the ascension. And I'll probably do a live on the final part of it another time, not now, because it's too detailed to go into. But you shift. So the idea of worthiness is quite short-lived. The point is, you've experienced this, and then the polar opposite, and then in this galactic timeline that we're all in, you shift up. And as soon as you shift up into a higher level of frequency, that is when you start to experience your sovereignty, your integrity matches your sovereignty, your soul merges with your body. The truth is, the soul was always with the body. It's just that we become consciously aware of the soul being integrated with and without the body. And then you start to become conscious awareness. All's well with all the time retaining the human vehicle. So you become your soul, and awareness of your soul. You start to become consciousness and the awareness that you are consciousness, and yet you're still with this physical vessel. So this is why the largest pattern that each hold, it might be self-worth, it might not be, it might be something else, but the largest pattern that each hold is being smashed. It has to be, because we're all on the same galactic timeline. The key is to take responsibility for how you feel. So whatever circumstance presents to you where you feel a lack of self-worth, go within quietly when you're on your own and feel how that situation feels. Is it that you yourself feel unworthy? Or is it that the outside circumstance presenting to you thinks you're unworthy? In other words, is it you that feels you're unworthy, or is it an actor in your play, in your dream, that is saying via whatever means that you are unworthy? In other words, look within absolutely, genuinely, whether it is your stuff or whether it is not your stuff. If it's an unworthiness that you have experienced the whole of your life, it's your stuff. Absolutely. Own it. And then tell yourself how worthy you are. But go within. And the only answers that you want to listen to when you go within are the answers that come from your heart, not from the mind. The mind will always blame the outside. Always. Every time. The mind is a processor. It learns as it experiences. The heart is eternal. It has an eternal knowing. So always listen to your heart and not your mind. Your mind will always blame the outside circumstance. Your heart will show you the absolute truth of any situation. But just remember that all of this is your self-created reality, and it's designed for you to lift out of. You're designing it. It's you. The consciousness that is being experienced in this reality is my consciousness. The consciousness that you experience in your reality is your consciousness. So it doesn't matter how others perceive you. What matters is how you perceive you, with pure honesty, pure integrity, pure kindness at seeing the patterns that lie within you, recognizing them, owning them. It's only through owning them ourselves and taking responsibility within ourselves that we can transmute them. The other thing to do is to feel and get used to doing this. I've mentioned this before, but when you are feeling the feeling of unworthiness for whatever reason, is just to close your eyes and drop your thoughts. Just drop the storyline of the unworthiness. Don't be thinking, he said that, she did that. Drop the thoughts completely and just feel the energy and how it feels within you as unworthy. It's an energy. It's only the mind that puts meaning to an energy. And the mind can only put a meaning to something when it's already had an experience of it in this lifetime. But in truth, It's just energy. When you drop the thoughts and you drop the mind, it's just energy within you feeling a certain way. And if that energy doesn't feel good, all it's showing you is that you're out of alignment with your true self. So the energy of lack of self-worth, it feels over here. It doesn't feel good. And all it's doing is showing you that that lack of self-worth is not the true you. If you go into your mind, you can add infinite stories to that, but it is only energy. Human beings, whether they're awake or asleep, in their own way, are always searching for meaning. They're always searching to define. And sometimes on the awakening path, we can let go of old definitions, of old belief systems, and we can take on and absorb new definitions and new belief systems. And that's the mind. It's still the mind. At some point, you'll drop all the definitions. Are you unworthy? No. Are you worthy? No. You're here. You're the balance. Your truth is you're the neutrality of it all. The truth is that you just are. That everything just is. And this ascension is about becoming once more the absolute isness that does not define. It doesn't define. It doesn't label. It doesn't let go of one idea in place of another definition. Isness just is. It doesn't need to define. It can't define. If you think of God before God separated out into zillions and billions of facets of itself, at that point, at that original source point, there's absolutely no definition. Why? Because how can that define itself? It can only define itself if it creates something outside of itself. Outside, 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 into zillions of pieces or facets of itself. And then God can experience itself through a rock, through a human being, through a bird, through a non-solid species, through light, through sound, through vibrations. It's only when God separates itself, divides itself from itself, that it can then define itself. And so we could say that we have experienced that separation from God, and that we look for meaning again and again and again throughout our life. And so do the people that aren't awakened. They're always searching for something they can't define. Until you become what can't be defined. And so you have no desire or wish to define anything yourself. You are neither worthy or unworthy. You are neither a confident person or a person that lacks confidence. You just are You just are that neutrality and that balance. And that is what everybody is becoming, a stage at a time. You never were unworthy. You never were. You've never been unworthy. But you've had the experience of what it's like to feel what we define in human terms as unworthiness. You are not that. You just experienced it. So when do you choose to let it go? You're going to let it go at exactly the most perfect time for you. But if you're here today, it's because you've had enough of that and you want to let it go. So are you ready to let it go? Are you ready to let go of an old pattern that just resides within your mind? It does not even appear in the heart. Are you ready to finally let it go? And to stop allowing the outside to influence how you are within your heart? To just allow people their perceptions of you. Find peace in allowing this, in allowing that. Everybody's on their journey home. Just allow them their perception. Because there's nobody on this planet that has your perception. Nobody. You have a unique and beautiful perception. And nobody is going to know that perception better than you do. So allow people their perception. And their perception of you will be based on their life experience and their forgetfulness and their ability to remember. And when they remember fully, they won't be defining you. And you won't be defining them. You'll just be enjoying being together in that neutral balance. In harmony, in peace, in playfulness, in childlike silliness, in love, in expression, creating. It's time. It's time to realize the truth, and that simply is that you never were unworthy. You just had that experience, and that it's up to you and you and you and you when you choose to let it go. It's up to you, and when you do, it will be the most perfect moment for you. There's no race, there's no rush. But what we are going to do now is go into a guided meditation so that you can see the truth of this experience, and so that you can come back from that meditation with a strength and an empowerment within you that you can turn to just by doing this in any moment that presents in your life. Any moment you feel unworthy, you can do this. Place your hand on your heart after this meditation and feel into your own perception, your own truth, to empower you more, to help you more see the truth behind the distortion. So we're going to go into a meditation now. So I would get yourself comfortable if you like. Directly after the meditation, there's going to be a 5-minute or less activation, which I didn't expect. It's up to you whether you choose to take part in that. do as feels right for you in the moment, but it literally will be soul to soul. So as we all progress, our gifts start to come through slowly, slowly, slowly. And this year I have experienced a lot on my own, energy coming through my eyes. I feel it physically coming through my eyeballs. It comes through my body, yes, but it's stronger coming through my eyes. This year it's happened, and I've never shared it publicly, except I did accidentally once when I did a live with you. Some of you picked up on it. I did a live outside when I was talking about what love actually is and the meaning of love. And right at the end, the energy shot out my eyes, and some of you picked up on that. Now, the energy I feel changes, as in I know what I'm experiencing. I know that for this activation tonight, it's my soul energy. So I will close my eyes after the meditation. I'm telling you this now because I don't want to be talking after the meditation. I want to stay on my heart space and do it. I don't want to go into my brain. So I'm just explaining how the activation works. Is I will close my eyes and you can just breathe into your heart and stay open-hearted. And then when I open my eye, when I've got my eyes closed, I'll start to see my soul through my eyelids. And then when I open my eyes, I'll adjust a little bit. And then the energy of my soul will be seen outside of me. I'll see it, I mean. And then the energy comes through my eyelids to your eyes. So it's soul to soul. I didn't know I'd have to do this. I've never done it intentionally before in public. But I know that there's nothing that can stop me from doing this, that I'm supposed to do it. So if it feels good for you, if it feels right, there'll be an activation that is eye to eye, soul to soul, and I'll get a bit closer to the camera. And I will actually look at the camera lens, which for me is to the left of my screen. I know you always see me look in a different way, but I'll look at the camera lens. If it feels right for you, do it. If it doesn't, maybe just hold space for everybody else within your heart, and that would be wonderful too. Okay. So if you just all like to take a deep breath into your heart space and close your eyes, we'll start the meditation, guided journey. And just breathe love into your heart and just wait a moment there before you breathe love out from your heart into the whole of your body. And maybe just turn the volume up, if not already, because the voice will go quieter. And just relax now, just breathing in love to your heart center, waiting a second or so, and breathing out love to the whole of your body. As you begin to let go of the mind that has just been absorbing information. Just let go more and more. And just be aware of the noises around you, maybe in your room, maybe outside. Be aware of the noises you can hear here, where I am. And just know they're fine. They're absolutely fine just to let go of all of that sound. As you focus now gently and quietly letting go. Focusing now only on listening to the sound of my voice, deeper and deeper, feeling your body relax, going heavier and heavier, noticing any tension in your legs or your body, just letting it go deeper and deeper, feeling this weight of your body sinking into the seat or the bed or the floor, just allowing yourself to drift deeper and deeper into such a beautiful state of relaxation. There's nothing to think about. Just allow any thoughts to come in and go out. Just let them go out, knowing that you can give yourself time to think. Later on, where now is just your time to devote to yourself and your body and your heart, as we begin to transcend the physical form deeper and deeper, feeling a state of peace, knowing you are completely safe, completely held in love, as we transcend together deeper and deeper into a space that is peaceful, relaxing, breathing, breathing into your heart. I'd like you to visualize in front of you with your eyes closed an animal that you know, maybe a pet or an animal that you resonate with, but nevertheless an animal that you love. And I'd like you to see this animal. Open your arms and watch this animal run to you. It's running towards you now, wanting to hold you too as you embrace whatever the animal is. You're just holding it and hugging it, allowing it to give you its love, as you just feel the love that you're giving out and receiving. And now we'll let that animal go and be on its own journey. And as you look out now in your space, you can see a young child stood before you, 6, 7 years old, stood before you. And I'd like you now to open your arms wide and watch that child run to you, running, 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 embracing you, holding you so tightly. This young child that doesn't know too much, that doesn't understand the world, just a beautiful, innocent young child, now being held by this equally beautiful, wise human being that wishes to love it fully. Just allow yourselves to hold each other so tightly, so much love flowing between you both. So much love. You can feel the child merging into your body now. For that child is you. You are the child. And you are the wise higher energy that's been holding the child as you begin to merge into one. And as this occurs, you can feel your body changing into this magical light form. You're starting to lose your solidity and your cells. And you're starting to feel a oneness and the lightness of your being that is pure white light. You're starting to feel yourself elevating off the ground, off the earth, as the child and the adult merged as one into one light being, made of pure, beautiful white light, as you elevate off Gaia, higher and higher, away from the planet. And you can see in the night sky the North Star. It's calling you now. As you float closer and closer and closer to the North Star, it becomes brighter and closer to you. Floating, floating higher and higher. As you start to approach the North Star, you can see the bright light that it is, that you are now entering into the center of the North Star that resides over planet Earth. And as you fly and float into the center, in the distance, you can see a ring of white light, pulsating white light. You're headed towards this ring of white light. It's pulling you closer and closer, and the closer you get, the more you can see the clarity that this is not just one ring. The ring is made up of hundreds and hundreds of light beings that are all made of the same white light, the same white light as your light body. Now you can see. And as you descend into this ring, you're descending into the center of this ring of light beings that have come specifically to honor you. They've waited and waited for this moment to come and gather together as one, with one purpose: to honor you and what you are about to do and become. They are here to see you, celebrate you, and love you. And you can feel, as you look around the ring at every single light being, that every single one of them emanates love from their light body into the center of the ring where you stand as the adult, you, and the inner child. And as you stand in the middle of the ring, I'd like you to look down and notice that the floor is made of crystals. It's made of white crystal, rose crystal, and blue crystals. And the white represents the purity of you that you always, always have been, the wholeness of who you are. And the rose represents and emanates the love of your eternal heart. And the blue ray within the crystals represents the pure, divine truth. As you stand there, fully surrounded by light beings that are emanating love for you, that are present only for you, coming through the ring now, you see a tall being. The being has white skin, pure white skin, very, very tall and very slim, with long white silvery hair, long straight hair, and he's walking towards you in the center. And as he walks towards you, you can see that he's holding something in his hand. It's long and it's made of light. As he gets closer to you, with all his strength, he pushes this long white light into the crystal floor, stabbing it into the floor. And it is at this point, as he stands opposite you, you can see that the shape of this white long light is that of a sword. You can see that the sword is made of white light and blue light, that the white represents the pure truth of who you are, and the blue represents the divine truth of God. The being now is looking at you and asking you to choose. Because if in a moment, not just yet, but in a moment, if you choose to pick the sword up, you'll be choosing from this moment forth to be able to see the purity of your truth within your heart and the divine truth of God within your heart. So it's time to decide whether to pick the sword up or not. Just stand looking at the sword in the ground, in the crystals. And make your decision whether from this moment forth to be able to accept the truth of who you are, that you are pure, white light, and you are made from divine source. If your choice is to pick the sword up, Pick it up. Pick it up. If you are ready, pick the sword up. Hold the sword in front of your heart. This is your purity. This is your truth. This is what you are and who you are. And place the sword upon your chest and allow it now to dissolve into your heart. Into your light body. I'd like you to look around at the circle of light beings that have come just for you, that have come to honor this moment where you no longer see yourself as less than, where you no longer see yourself as more than, but you see yourself as equal to all things, as one. I'd like you to look at these light beings and go over to some of them. Some of them are kneeling before you, and I ask you to kneel before them in honor of them, equal. Some of them have their hands together, honoring you. Namaste. And I'd like you to go over to those beings with your hands together and honor them. Namaste. Some of them, many of them, are stood in honor with their hands held over their hearts. Go over to them and place your hands on your heart, equally honoring them. You are one. You always were. And as you look around at hundreds of light beings that created this light circle for you, you can see a familiarity to each of them. They were the ones that volunteered to trigger you and make you feel less than, in order that you rise, in order that you ascend. And they could only do so because of the eternal love they hold in their hearts for you and all. In every moment, they are honoring you. And in every moment, you can honor them. In any moment, you can place your hand on your heart and feel the sword of truth and know what is true and what is not, and be that truth. Choose that truth. Every single light being has showed up for you today in love, in honor, in appreciation for who you are and where you are on planet Earth in solid form. They all place their hands on their hearts, honoring you. And that one unified action magnetizes you into the center of the ring once more. As soon as you reach the center, you can feel the magnetism lifting you up, 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 away from the ring of light beings that gathered for you, taking you further into the sky, away from the North Star on your return, closer and closer to Gaia. You will always have this light sword within your heart to turn to quietly and ask for the truth. No longer are you the unworthy one, because now you hold the sword within your heart, and that sword speaks. And so now, as we move towards Gaia, I'm going to bring you back into this reality gently, counting from 5 down to 1, when you can open your eyes, feeling happy, refreshed, at peace with yourself, being a newer version of yourself, with the ability to see your truth within you. 1, just starting to feel your body, aware of your muscles. 2, starting your eyelids start to flicker. 3, you're hearing the sounds around you in your reality. 4, starting to feel that your eyes are opening. 5, opening your eyes. And back, here we are. Just gently coming back. Coming back. Just giving yourself a moment. Breathe into to your heart. And now finally, the last 5 minutes of this live, if you wish to take part. I'll close my eyes in a moment, and then I will look at the camera lens, feeling the energy of my soul, and I'll open my eyes when I can feel it pushing through my eyes, soul to soul, heart to heart. And if you don't wish to take part, that's just perfect too. There's no pressure, there's no rush. Just do what feels right for you in this moment, knowing whatever you do, it will be perfect for you. But if you wish to take part, then we will just spend these last minutes, soul to soul, eyes to eyes, and the energy will come through my eyes, and then I'll finish up, okay? bless you all. I pray and hope that something in tonight's support has helped you, and I love you. Thank you for all that you are.